On the whole, I enjoyed Series 11 of Doctor Who. I found it was a consistent run of good but not great episodes. Nothing stood out as an instant classic, but nothing was atrocious either, and there was a lot to like about it. That being said, one thing about Series 11 that I don't think worked that well was the presence of Sim Shah, or Tim Shaw, as the big bad of the series, specifically in the final episode, The Battle of Ranskor Av Kolos. Also, it's worth noting that this video will be using still images a bit more than I intended, purely because Doctor Who is owned by the BBC, and the BBC don't seem to care too much for fair use. I've tried to upload this video a couple times before, and both times it has been instantly copyright claimed and blocked worldwide, so it's either still images or no video. But that's, what can you do? Anyway, now admittedly, calling Tim Shaw the series' big bad is a bit of a stretch, considering that he only appears in the first and last episodes of the series, but the Battle of Ranskorav Kolos treats his return as if it's some earth-shattering revelation, but Tim Shaw just doesn't have the same impact as other Who villains, such as Davros or the Master, or hell, even the return of the Autons in the Series 5 finale was better than this. It just doesn't really work in the way it was intended. There are a number of reasons as to why Tim Shaw doesn't work in the finale, and they mostly stem from how he was portrayed in his first appearance in the series opener, The Woman Who Fell to Earth. So today, I'm going to propose a few changes to Tim Shaw's usage in that episode that I think would have made his reappearance in the series finale a whole lot more effective than it unfortunately ended up being. The main problem with Tim Shaw in The Woman Who Fell to Earth is that it's the first story for the new Doctor, so the audience isn't expecting all that much from the monster because the episode isn't, or at least shouldn't be, about them. So no matter how much you try and make that villain memorable, most people just won't be invested in them because that's not why they've tuned into that episode. Now, it's not necessarily a terrible idea to introduce a new recurring villain in the new Doctor's first episode, but Tim Shaw would only really feel like a proper match for the Doctor when he returned if he won in this episode. That could be seen as making the 13th Doctor the first female Doctor less capable than her male predecessors, but I think it reflects the real-world challenge Jodie Whittaker had to face when she was first cast. The first female Doctor was a big deal, and not something everyone was initially on board with. Whittaker had the unfortunate task of taking on that responsibility, and thus had to prove more than any other actor to play the role, except maybe Patrick Troughton as the first new Doctor, that she was the right person to cast. In the show itself, though, the 13th Doctor doesn't really face that challenge, and she doesn't really exhibit any real character flaws. She's nice and capable, and that's about it. She makes some mistakes, but so do other Doctors. She sort of fails in the Ghost Monument, but then not really. But if she loses in her very first episode, against what is essentially a bog-standard villain of the week, no less, she then faces a challenge that no other Doctor before her has had to face, and her arc throughout the series is her desire to prove herself as the Doctor. And when she meets Tim Shaw again in the series finale and beats him, she's deserved the right to be considered the Doctor just as much as any of the others. Now, I'm absolutely not saying that the 13th Doctor should fail and have to prove herself because she's a woman. I totally understand why they went the opposite direction and making her just as capable, if not more so, than her predecessors, and rarely mentioning the change of gender at all, to dispel the idea of her gender making her lesser than Doctors before her. But if she acknowledges that she's now a woman for the first time and failed, the gender change can be used as something that even the Doctor can be unsure of, and she might doubt herself because of it, giving her a thematic arc throughout the series until she beats Tim Shaw in the finale and realises that, no, her being a woman now doesn't mean she's any less capable of being the Doctor than all of her other male incarnations. So letting Tim Shaw win in episode 1 doesn't just benefit his character, I think it also benefits the Doctor's character too. Another problem with Tim Shaw in the Battle of Ranskorav Kolos that stems from The Woman Who Fell to Earth is Bradley Walsh's Graham's desire to kill him, due to him being responsible for the death of Graham's wife Grace in episode 1. The issue is that Tim Shaw is technically responsible for Grace's death, but not really, and the circumstances of Grace's death are somewhat confusing if you're not paying explicit attention to the episode, and even then the execution is strangely unclear as to exactly how and why Grace ends up dead. So, in the Battle of Ranskorav Kolos, Graham wants to kill Tim Shaw because Tim Shaw killed Grace, but strictly speaking, Grace dies because she decides to climb a crane to stop Tim Shaw's bundle of gathering coils from bringing said crane down, due to the fact that her grandson Ryan is on that crane. She is attacked by the coils and then, as the title of the episode suggests, falls to earth. It's the equivalent of attempting to put a lead on a vicious dog that someone's let roam free, and then dying because it attacked you. Tim Shaw is no more to blame for Grace's death than Grace herself, so whilst it makes sense for Graham to want to get revenge on Tim Shaw, as technically she did die because of him, the audience doesn't feel the same hatred for him as Graham, because by the time Grace died, Tim Shaw had teleported away. He shouldn't even know about her death, but acts like he does because he's the evil villain, and the writer, Chris Chibnall, is telling us how evil he is, rather than showing us. So, in this new version of The Woman Who Fell to Earth, Tim Shaw is directly responsible for Grace's death, and then he wins and gets away. So, I'm only going to change the scene near the end of the episode, where the Doctor, more or less over the effects of her regeneration trauma, faces off against Tim Shaw on the end of a crane. Tim Shaw's return in the finale and how we respond as an audience greatly depends on the position of power he's in when we last see him before he comes back. He's fine as he is in the rest of episode 1, a little basic, but it's the new Doctor's first episode, so that's fine. But this final scene with him is what will determine his status as a worthy recurring villain for the Doctor to face. We're keeping everything in this scene up until the point where their confrontation reaches a stalemate, with the Doctor threatening to drop Tim Shaw's recall device if he activates the DNA bombs, and the Doctor has remembered her name and given him a final chance to leave. In the episode, Tim Shaw just sort of decides to activate the bombs for no reason. Even if he doesn't know that he now has all 5, he's still likely to lose his recall device if he activates the bombs, and he's not that stupid. So, instead of just activating the bombs anyway, he pauses, looks at the Doctor and says, "Show me your collarbone." She replies, "What?" "The DNA bomb planted inside you should show on your collarbone, so show it to me." And obviously, the Doctor can't because she got rid of them and gave them to him, so she doesn't say anything because he's thrown her off guard. "You got rid of them, so where are they?" Now, the Doctor has lost the position of power in the confrontation and is basically forced to reveal her trick, also because it needs to be revealed to the audience. "I removed them from my friends and implanted them in your creature, and then you transferred them into yourself. It wasn't just data, it was physical, including 5 tiny bombs. And you're not the only one who can detonate them, because she can use a sonic screwdriver that this incarnation loves so much. You tried to trick me. Now you're going to regret it. I wonder, which one of your friends will die first?" Tim Shaw then presses some buttons on his suit and looks down towards the gathering core creature as it begins to advance towards Graham and Grace, who begin to run away from it. "You won't detonate. You're too weak. Now give me the recall or they will all die." The Doctor looks down to Grace and Graham, and then back to Tim Shaw. This incarnation is too nice to activate the bombs deliberately, because that would be murder, but she can't stop Tim Shaw's creature from attacking Graham and Grace, so she reluctantly gives him the recall device and attempts to take back control of the situation. "Now call it off. Leave. On your own." Tim Shaw pauses, and then, "No. You gave me a choice, and I choose to win." Tim Shaw attaches his recall device to his armor, grabs Carl by his neck, and teleports away, with the Doctor only just activating her sonic in an attempt to stop him before he and his trophy disappear, letting out a cry of "No!" in anguish as he does so. Down on the ground, Graham and Grace are running from the gathering coil. Graham is slightly ahead of Grace, and just as they are about to reach the fuse box to neutralize it, the creature reaches Grace and electrocutes her. Graham turns the fuse box on and attacks the creature, as Grace does in the actual episode, causing it to fall apart and collapse on the ground. The Doctor runs up to Grace's body, along with Ryan and Yaz, and admits her defeat to her friends. "It was Tim Shaw. He targeted her. I couldn't stop him. He got away. I'm sorry." And the scene ends with everyone in somber silence, just as in the episode. Thank you for watching. It really does mean a lot. If you like this, give it a like. Comment, tell me how stupid and dumb and cringy my evil voice was. This was really fun to do, although it took a lot longer than I expected. If you're one of the few people who have been here since I actually did stuff on this channel, you'll know that I kept promising this and it didn't happen for a long time. If you're watching this on the day of release, the next one of these should be out within the next couple of days. As I say, this was very fun, but it really made me appreciate the amount of mental legwork that goes into a Nando v Movies Once More Change video. It's crazy mental gymnastics to get everything to work. I don't know how he does it basically every week, but so I got a new appreciation for that. But it was really fun to do. I've got more of these planned. I don't know how many specifically, and I don't know how fast I'm going to be able to get them out. But they're here now, so yeah, like, comment, subscribe if you are new. Check out some of the other videos that I'll be posting around the time of this. But that's all I've got, and I'll see you next time.